Hey everyone and welcome back to the channel. If you're receiving a SASSA grant or have family and friends relying on these monthly payments, then what I'm about to share with you is incredibly important. Make sure you watch this video all the way through and don't miss a single detail, because your SASSA grant, the money that so many South Africans count on each and every month, may be on the verge of being reduced. That's right. Changes are being discussed at the highest levels of government, and if you're not aware of what's going on, you could be caught off guard when the next payment cycle hits. So let's dive in, break everything down, and most importantly, make sure you're prepared. First off, let's talk about the context. South Africa's economy has been under intense strain for quite some time now. With rising inflation, persistent unemployment, and ongoing struggles within key government departments, the budget for social grants is under more pressure than ever. The South African Social Security Agency, known to all of us as SASSA, is responsible for distributing monthly grants to millions of citizens, including older persons, people with disabilities, children, and others who qualify based on income or special needs. These grants are not a luxury for most people, they are a necessity. For some families, it's the only money coming in. That's what makes this possible reduction so alarming. According to officials within the Department of Social Development and Treasury, internal budget discussions are being held right now. These conversations are reportedly focused on cutting costs and reallocating limited funds to other critical areas like education, healthcare, and energy. SASSA grants, unfortunately, are on the list of possible reductions. This doesn't mean they've already been reduced, at least not yet. But when officials start using words like restructure, review, or realign, it's usually not a good sign. It often signals that cuts are being considered, and that a decrease in your monthly payment could be around the corner. One of the driving factors behind these talks is the sheer volume of people who rely on SASSA support. As of early 2025, over 18 million South Africans are receiving some form of social grant. That includes child support grants, disability grants, old age pensions, and the R350 Social Relief of Distress (SRD) grant, which was introduced during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic and has since become a critical lifeline for unemployed adults. The problem is that the government is finding it increasingly difficult to fund all of these grants, especially as tax revenues fall short and the national debt continues to rise. So what exactly could this mean for you? Well, here's where it gets a little worrying. According to early estimates from sources within the Treasury, the government is exploring several possible options. One option is to reduce the value of each monthly grant by a certain percentage. For example, an old age pension that is currently 2,180 might be lowered to 2,000 or even less. A child support grant could drop from a 530 to 480. While that may not sound like a huge difference to some, for families who are barely making ends meet, every rand counts. Even a 50 reduction can mean the difference between buying bread for the week or not. Another possibility being discussed is more targeted grant distribution. This would mean tightening the criteria for who qualifies, which could result in some people being removed from the system entirely. The goal here would be to focus resources only on the most vulnerable. But that also raises serious concerns about fairness, corruption, and whether people who really need the money will be unfairly disqualified. It's one thing to say the system needs to be more efficient, it's another thing entirely to take support away from people without offering any kind of alternative. There are even reports that the R350 SRD grant, which was supposed to be temporary, is now in danger of being discontinued altogether. Originally introduced as a COVID-19 emergency measure, the SRD grant has become a permanent fixture in the lives of millions of unemployed South Africans. And while the government has extended the grant several times, insiders say there's growing resistance to keeping it going indefinitely without a more sustainable funding model. If the SRD grant is scrapped, it would leave over 8 million people without any form of income support. That could have devastating consequences not only for those individuals, but for communities across the country already dealing with poverty and social unrest. But let's pause for a second and ask, why now? Why is the government suddenly looking to cut back on social grants, when the cost of living is going up and unemployment remains high? The answer lies in the budget. The Minister of Finance has made it clear that South Africa is facing a fiscal crisis. Government debt is now more than 70% of the GDP, and interest payments on that debt are eating up a large portion of national revenue. This leaves very little room to increase spending and puts social programs like SASSA in the firing line. Add to that the recent downgrade by international credit agencies, and you've got a situation where the government feels pressure to show it can manage public finances more responsibly. Unfortunately, that often translates into budget cuts. And let's be real here, while ordinary citizens are being asked to make sacrifices, the government is still dealing with major issues like corruption, wasteful spending, and mismanagement. Many South Africans are rightfully asking, why are grants being reduced when billions are being lost to fraud and corruption every year? Shouldn't the priority be fixing those problems first, before taking money away from the poorest people in the country? That frustration is growing louder, and if cuts go ahead, it could lead to widespread protest and unrest. Now here's the big question on everyone's mind: is this reduction definitely going to happen? The short answer is not yet. No official announcement has been made. The Department of Social Development is still in talks with Treasury, and any changes to SASSA grants would need to go through Parliament before they are implemented. However, sources suggest that decisions could be finalized within the next few months, possibly even before the next budget speech. That means you need to stay informed and be prepared for possible changes. Don't wait until you hear about it on the news after the fact, make sure you're ahead of the curve. If you're wondering what you can do in the meantime, the most important thing is to stay vigilant and spread awareness. Talk to your community. Let other people know that changes might be coming. Many people rely on their grants without checking updates or watching the news. You can help by keeping them informed. It's also a good time to review your own financial situation. If you rely on a SASSA grant, try to think about ways to save, reduce expenses, or create a small side hustle if possible. I know it's not easy, but having a backup plan could help cushion the blow if payments are reduced. There are also advocacy groups and non-profit organizations working behind the scenes to fight any proposed cuts. Groups like the Black Sash and others are already mobilizing to put pressure on the government to protect the grant system. They're arguing that reducing grants during a time of economic hardship is not only unjust but could deepen inequality and create even more social instability. If you want to be part of the movement to protect social grants, look into how you can support these efforts, whether it's signing petitions, attending community meetings, or simply sharing information on social media. And we also have to ask, what does this mean long term? If grants are reduced now, will they ever go back up? Or is this the beginning of a new era where social support becomes less reliable and more limited? That's the fear many people have, that once cuts are made, they become permanent. And if that happens, future generations could face even more difficulty accessing the basic support systems that so many South Africans have come to rely on. That's why it's critical to speak up now, while the decisions are still being made. At the same time, we have to hold our leaders accountable. If there's money for luxury cars, overseas trips, and inflated salaries, then there should be money to protect our social safety net. Public pressure can and does make a difference. We've seen it before: when citizens unite and raise their voices, governments take notice. But it takes all of us working together. One person alone can stop the cuts, but millions of voices can. And remember, this issue doesn't only affect SASSA recipients. When grants are reduced, the entire economy suffers. Local businesses that rely on customers spending their grant money also feel the impact. Children who depend on these funds for school supplies, food, and clothing will suffer. Entire households could be pushed deeper into poverty. This is about more than just one payment, it's about the future of social justice and economic survival in South Africa. So to everyone watching, whether you receive a SASSA grant yourself or you know someone who does, please take this seriously. This isn't just another news headline. This is about real people and real lives. Stay informed, speak out, and prepare for the possibility of changes. And as always, I'll be here to keep you updated every step of the way. As soon as any new developments come in, whether it's an official announcement, a decision from Parliament, or community responses, I'll bring you all the details right here on this channel. We are living in challenging times, and it's more important than ever that we look out for each other. So make sure you hit that like button, share this video with your friends and family, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a critical update. We've got your back, and together, we can make sure the voices of the people are heard. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe, stay strong, and take care.